Listen carefully, because what you're about to hear is not just another security story. This one hits the soul. We've all grown up hearing the same line over and over again: the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. But nobody ever warned us what happens when the elders of today become the enemies of that tomorrow. What happens when the same men we call Baba, the same men we greet with two hands, the same men who sit at peace meetings wearing flowing white robes and speaking holy grammar, are secretly counting blood money in dark rooms? What happens when the people meant to protect the future are the ones auctioning it to criminals? The headline shaking the nation right now is not exaggeration. It is raw, painful reality. Terror sponsors have finally been unmasked. And this time, it's not some anonymous boys hiding in the bush with rifles and charms. No. This time, the fingers are pointing at grandfathers. Men with grey beards. Men with titles. Men who shake governors' hands and sit comfortably in air-conditioned halls pretending to preach peace. The president of a powerful livestock association in Kwara State is now at the center of a scandal that has left many Nigerians speechless. For years, the insecurity in Kwara puzzled everyone. Attacks seemed too calculated. Kidnappers moved like ghosts. They knew exactly when security patrols would pass. They knew the safest routes. They knew which villages were vulnerable and which families could raise ransom fast. People kept asking questions. How are these criminals always one step ahead? How are they so organized? How are they never surprised? Today, the answer has landed like thunder. The danger was not only in the forest. It was sitting comfortably in the city. The calls were coming from inside the house. Security operatives, after weeks of quiet intelligence work, stormed in and arrested 3 top Fulani leaders in the state, including the association state chairman himself. And this was not guesswork. This was not rumor. This was not political drama. They didn't move in with empty hands. They moved in with evidence. Hard cash running into millions of naira was recovered from men who publicly claimed to be simple cattle breeders and peace advocates. Not coins. Not small change. Big money. Clean stacks. The kind of money that tells a very ugly story. This operation was not random. It was a carefully planned sting. Intelligence officers had been tracing ransom flows for months. Every time a family sold land, borrowed money, cried and begged just to free a loved one, investigators followed the trail. Everyone assumed the money disappeared deep into the forest with the kidnappers. But what shocked the investigators was discovering that a large chunk of that money was quietly finding its way back into town, into the hands of respected community leaders who wore the mask of peacemakers. And here's where the story becomes even more disturbing. According to preliminary security reports, the association leader didn't even deny the allegations. He reportedly admitted involvement. Let that sink in. A man whose official role is to mediate peace between farmers and herders, a man who sits in meetings with government officials discussing security solutions, allegedly confessed to aiding multiple kidnapping operations. The same mouth that spoke peace in public was allegedly coordinating logistics in private. The same hands that shook hands in meetings were allegedly counting ransom proceeds at night. But the most painful part of this entire story is not even the money. It's the age of the suspects. These men are said to be over 60 years old. In our culture, that age commands respect. That's grandfather status. That's the age of wisdom, counsel, and moral authority. These are the men meant to warn young people away from crime, not recruit them into it. These are the men meant to settle disputes under mango trees, not sponsor bloodshed from behind curtains. Instead of building bridges for peace, they allegedly built pipelines for terror. Imagine the irony. Young boys risking their lives in the forest, believing they are fighting for survival, while comfortable elders sit in town enjoying the profits. Innocent travelers dragged into the bush, families crying and selling properties, while respected leaders allegedly convert those tears into business income. It's a betrayal that cuts deep. And it raises a very uncomfortable question for all of us. If elders can no longer be trusted, who exactly becomes the moral compass of society? If a government-recognized association president can allegedly run criminal logistics, how many more wolves are hiding in sheep clothing across the country? How many fake peacemakers are secretly fueling chaos while pretending to condemn it in public? The cash recovered changes everything. Usually, arrests come with old rifles, charms, or vague accusations. But raw cash tells a different story. Cash means transactions. Cash means accounting. Cash means structured operations. It suggests these men were not just sympathizers. They were financiers. They were managers. They were the bankers of terror. Banditry wasn't just violence, it was business. And suddenly, the cries of local communities now make sense. For months, villagers in places like Beruten and Kioma had been whispering that the criminals had godfathers. People accused them of disrespect. Some were silenced. Some were mocked. Now those whispers are turning into handcuffs and police files. This arrest could become a turning point. When you cut off the money flow, you starve the gunmen. When the supply chain collapses, the terror machine slows down. If the boys in the forest realize that their sponsors in town have been exposed, panic spreads through the network. Trust breaks. Communication collapses. That's how criminal empires fall. But let's not deceive ourselves. We've seen this movie before in Nigeria. Big arrests make big headlines. Then suddenly, health issues appear. Court dates disappear. Files go missing. Public memory fades. That's why this case must not be allowed to die quietly. A man's gray hair should never shield him from justice if his hands are stained with innocent suffering. Elder status should not become immunity for crime. Just imagine the bitter irony one more time. A man sitting in security meetings with government officials, nodding seriously while discussing how to stop kidnappings, allegedly knowing exactly when the next kidnapping would happen. Smiling for photographs in daylight, allegedly plotting fear by night. That's not just corruption. That's betrayal of the highest order. This story is far from over. Nigerians deserve to know who the other two arrested leaders are. We deserve transparency on how long this network has operated. We deserve to see real prosecution, not cosmetic justice. And we will keep watching every step of this case as it unfolds. If this story shocked you, you're not alone. Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. And if you believe it's time the real sponsors of insecurity were finally exposed, support the conversation, share this story, and stay connected, because what comes next may shake even more powerful tables.